Our next character is Quincy the Questioner. Now, Quincy is a reporter who has to know every single detail about the stories he reports on. So, Quincy pulls out his microphone and he's going to ask some of the hard-hitting questions, like who was the story about? What happened in it? When did it happen? Where did it happen? How did the characters react? Just like Quincy, we can ask our own questions when we read. And, more importantly, answer them. So, for example, we're going to take a look at the story Rapunzel in Grimm's Fairy Tales. Now, I'm not going to read the whole story to you. My guess is you've either read the story Rapunzel or have seen the Disney movie Tangled, which follows pretty much the same story. So if we had just read Rapunzel, some of the hard-hitting questions that we might ask would be, who is the main character? Why does Rapunzel's hair grow so long? What did the prince do to get Rapunzel out of that tower? How many times did the prince call out, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair for me? Now, it's not enough that we just use those sentence stems to ask the questions. We have to answer them as well. So there are 4 different types of questions that we can have that'll help us figure out how to answer them. So we can have either in the book or in my head questions. Now, in the book questions are answers that we can find literally right there in the book. And one of them is called a right there question. So for example, if I was to ask, what is the main character's name? I see that right there. I can point to it. It says Rapunzel. So that would be an example of a right there question. We can also have think and search questions. So for example, if I was to ask, how many times did the prince call out, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair? Well, I can't really point to that on one page. I have to sit here and flip through. So I see it 1, 2, 3, 4 different times. So I had to think and search to find it. I just searched through the book, a think and search question. Then there's also questions that we can use our own knowledge and expertise to answer. So there are 2 different types of those questions, author and me and on my own. For an author and me question, you have to use some of the information that's in the book and some of the information from your own head. So for example, if I was to ask, what would you do if you were Rapunzel locked in the tower? Well, you would have to have read the book because you would have to know who Rapunzel is, why she's locked in a tower, and what that situation is like. You wouldn't know that if you hadn't read the book. And you also have to use some of your own knowledge because you have to ask yourself, what would I do? So that's an author and me question. And then there's on my own questions. It's another way you could find the answer. And for those, you don't even need the book. For those types of questions, all you have to do is answer for yourself. So for example, an on my own question would be, what would you do if you were a princess? Now, I don't have to have read Grimm's Fairy Tales to know what a princess is, so I could answer that on my own in my own head. So, when we use Quincy the Questioner, we not only ask the hard-hitting questions, but we make sure that we answer them as well. Now, we've got one more character to meet. Let's go ahead and meet Sammy the Summarizer.